never made it, but I know what it takes. I'm motivated by a mix of emotion. Got my statement, and I'm reading it slow so I can understand it fully. Appreciate my standing, go out of this world and right on time. Oh, never in my life have I seen the sky light up like this. I'm far away from Earth and I wanna know if you exist. Mission control, do you read me? Send me my coordinates lately. Mission control, am I drifting? Tie me to someone who will love me, yeah. Wait, I think I'll last a bit longer. Fine.
Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. Today, here on the channel, we're going to be talking some college football. You know by now that I try to talk college football at least once a week, even during the off season. And I figured it's about time that we do another schedule preview for another team as we continue to count down the days to the 2023 college football season. Of course, next week is April, and most teams have their spring game in April. There are a few that do it in March, but most of them are in April. So in about 2 or 3 weeks, you'll be seeing most of the sports channels on cable and satellite showing teams' spring games. Today, I want to talk about North Carolina, and the only reason I picked them is because I remembered that right after North Carolina's schedule was released, Mack Brown went on a tangent about how they're getting treated unfairly. And I even made the comment here on the channel at the time that I didn't understand that, because to me, their schedule for the most part is pretty stinking easy and it's spread out. So I don't understand why he's complaining, but we know by now that's what coaches do. You could lay out the easiest schedule in the history of the world and give it to most teams, and their coach would complain, because that's what coaches do. You always want to make your team feel like the whole world is against you, even though in reality we know that's not true. North Carolina opens up the season on September the 2nd against South Carolina. Then they have Appalachian State, Minnesota, and then they start conference play on September 23rd against Pittsburgh. So they open up the season with 3 of their 4 non-conference games: South Carolina, Appalachian State, and Minnesota. I do think Appalachian State takes a step back this year. I don't think they're going to be as good as they normally are. And then North Carolina gets their bye week pretty early in the season. They're off the week of September the 30th. So the end of September is their bye week. 4 games, and then they're off. And then they come back with 8 games in a row to finish out the season. They kick off the month of October on October the 7th against Syracuse, and then the 14th they play Miami. On the 21st they play Virginia, and then Halloween weekend on the 28th of October they play Georgia Tech, and then they open up November by playing their 4th and final non-conference game against Campbell, and then on the 11th it's Duke. On the 18th of November, Clemson, and then, of course, they finish out the regular season Thanksgiving weekend, Saturday the 25th against the Wolfpack of NC State. And the reason why I said their schedule is pretty evened out is because they play Miami in week number 8, game number 7, but they play Syracuse before Miami, and then they play Virginia after Miami. So you play a average at best Syracuse team the week before, and you play a terrible Virginia team the week after with Miami sandwiched in between. So if North Carolina had to play Miami and Clemson back-to-back weeks, I could see Mack Brown being upset. But when you play a good team sandwiched right in between two easy teams, I don't think that it can get much easier than that. I think the main reason Mack is upset is because for years the ACC commissioner was John Swofford, and of course we all know that he was a North Carolina graduate, and when he was the commissioner of the ACC, North Carolina got anything and everything they wanted. So now that they're no longer being pampered to, Mack Brown feels like they're being done dirty. But I see their schedule, and I don't see a whole lot wrong with it. Now, it does suck finishing out the season playing Clemson and NC State back-to-back. But up until then, the first 11 weeks, first 10 games, I don't think that it can get a whole lot better than what it is. I've got North Carolina going 8-4 overall, 4-0 in their non-conference games. I think their toughest non-conference opponent will not be App State. It'll be Minnesota, but I just don't think Minnesota can score enough points to beat them. But I also think they beat Syracuse in conference. They beat Virginia in conference. They beat Georgia Tech in conference. And I think they lose to Clemson, and I think they lose to Miami. But I think between Pittsburgh, Duke, and NC State, they'll win one of those 3 games. So definite losses to Clemson and Miami. And between Pittsburgh, Duke, and NC State, they'll lose 2 of them and win 1. So 4-4 in the ACC, 8-4 overall. I think that's about where North Carolina is. And if you look at Mack Brown's track record, that's about what he does. He is historically a 7 or 8 win coach. I don't expect anything different this year. Now, with their schedule like it is, if I'm correct with their wins, and they open up with wins against South Carolina and Appalachian State and Minnesota, and then they do, by some chance, beat Pittsburgh, and then they have their bye week and come back and play Syracuse and beat them, and they're 5-0. If they start out 5-0, of course, they're going to be top 15 in the country, probably because for whatever reason the media loves Mack Brown. So if they start out 5-0, they'll be top 15, but then they'll lose to Miami and they'll fall. But I think they lose to Miami, and I think they lose to Clemson, definitely. And between Pittsburgh, Duke, and NC State, they'll lose 2 of those and win 1. So again, I've got them going 4-4 in the ACC, 8-4 overall. Any thoughts on that, please feel free to let me know. Homes for Our Troops is a publicly funded 501c nonprofit organization that builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post 9/11 veterans. Since the 2004 inception, nearly 90 cents of every dollar spent has gone directly to our program services for veterans. Visit at hfotusa.org. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. I got to thinking, I hate daylight savings time so much. I actually lost sleep over it. And that wraps it up for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.